So yes, Diablo 4 is going to be seeing a ton of brand new changes thanks to a brand new patch coming out here on May 28th. Look at all of these changes. We're talking about changes to Helltides, to bosses, the pit, to classes. We've got nerfs and buffs, and then also some concerns that the community does highlight. We'll dive to those as well. And I want to start here because there's been a lot of confusion about what's happening with the Barbarian. Of course, in the patch notes, it did say they fixed an issue where the Barbarian's bash was dealing multiplicative damage instead of additive damage when combined with the tempering affix that causes bash to cleave. A lot of people panicked. They said, wow, you just nerfed one of the best Barbarian builds, but wait a second. We have an update from Adam Fletcher. He says it was a mistake. Hold up. He says this right here. Hey, Barbarian friends, pull up a chair. It's story time. Bash is still multiplicative and the notes are being updated. Nothing was changed for this and was actually an attempt from the team to fix a tooltip issue. Fixing this tooltip issue caused a multiplicative scaling issue, which we experienced internally, but no one else actually saw. We fixed that issue, but it accidentally landed in public notes. We are updating the notes to reflect this. Bash stays the same and is still multiplicative. It's not additive. You may now continue shouting at the minions of hell and not about the bash. So yeah, we saw some previous concerns from some very hardcore Barbarian fans, so you can have a sigh of relief. Everything is going to be okay. But I say we start straight up with a question here because a lot of you guys are wondering this. It says this, can you all fix the bugged holy bolts doing crazy damage? Also, would bosses need like 100 times more HP? And the response is this. We've been having some talks about this elixir, and they didn't do any adjustments to this apparently in the patch, but let's go over the patch that's coming up here on May 28th. So let's dive into this. So game updates. The enchanting window now explicitly informs you that you can't re-roll into a greater fix. Hellborn enemies in Helltide now deal additional fire damage with their attacks. Oh boy, now they're even tougher. Masterworking materials can now be directly transmuted instead of requiring the opening of a materials cache to receive them. Now, once Masterworking is unlocked by one character, it is now always accessible on all characters across realms. So that is a very significant change there, and I think a lot of you will love that change. And yeah, the gold cost of Masterworking has been reduced. Examples, ranks 1 through 4 unchanged, ranks 5 reduced from 450,000 to 400,000, and then rank 8 reduced from 1 million to 800,000, and then rank 12 reduced from 10 million to 2.5 million. So that is actually a very significant change. But wait, we've got developer notes here. We want to make the main push for Masterworking to be focused on the acquisition of materials and less focused on needing the gold. We want to avoid the possibility of having the materials available, but needing to take extra time to collect the gold. So yeah, a nice change there. And I think a lot of the community will embrace that one because one of the bigger complaints has been gold. But also I've seen comments from you guys saying, hey, I have no problem getting gold. So let me know if you guys like this change or not. Now, also, let's talk about the armor cap. So it says this right here. The armor cap is now displayed in the tooltip when hovering over armor in character stats. The surge damage from Sorcerer's enhanced charge bolts has been increased from 30% to 45%. So yeah, a nice buff for Sorcerers. And then there is a developer note here that says we investigate an issue where the surge from enhanced charge bolts was happening too frequently when enemies were tightly stacked together, which caused performance issues. We also found that the surge damage was doing less damage than intended while the piercing static aspect was equipped. While fixing these two issues, see big fixes below, or bug fixes below, it was decided that a 50% buff to the surge damage would compensate for reducing how often it procs when enemies are stacked together. So yeah, the more you know. But there's also some drop rate stuff going on here. So the drop rate for scattered prisms have been increased from multiple sources. Treasure goblins now drop scattered prisms more often. We've got 15% chance in world tiers 1 and 2, 25% chance in world tier 3, and then 30% chance in world tier 4. Now, world bosses now always drop scattered prisms, and the amount they drop increases by world tier. Get this, world tiers 1 and 2, we're going to be getting 1 scattered prism, and then world tier 3, 2 scattered prisms, and then world tier 4, 3 scattered prisms. So yeah, you're going to want to be playing on those higher difficulties for sure. Now, the Butcher will always drop a scattered prism as well, and they reworked item stat comparisons to be more intuitive when the same stat appears on an item multiple times, which most often occurs with tempered items. Here's some notes from the dev team. Previously, if you have compared an item stats and it had a value appear twice, such as cooldown reduction, it would display those two different values individually. We have now updated this to combine those individual values to only display one value, making it easier to compare stats across items. And I love that they are really pushing to not oversimplify the game, just making it easier to understand. And that's something that I love about the changes that they keep doing to this game. Now, also it says the Whisper bounty requirements for defeating Hellborn has been reduced from defeating 3 to defeating 1. And they say this, we've made this change to compensate for a bug fix that can be seen further down in the patch notes. And oh boy, there are a ton of bug fixes. I'm not going to read through all of these. We're going to talk about the most important stuff, and that relates to, of course, Helltides, pit bosses, that sort of thing. So let's dive straight into that right now. All right, so it says this. For Helltides, they address an issue where Hellborn enemies that despawn after player death would drop loot. And then there's a bunch of other, issues they fixed. But I did want to talk about this one right here because it has developer notes. It says, fix an issue where Hellborn disciples spawn during a Blood Maiden encounter counted towards the Call Hellborn Whisper objective. They say this, the Hellborn disciples that spawn while fighting the Blood Maiden do not count as Hellborn in other contexts, such as the fact they do not drop loot like normal Hellborn. This change is to ensure these enemies are treated consistently. I don't know, some people might not like this change. I'm kind of curious your take on it, but they also did some adjustments here, of course, to the pit and so on. So yes, it says this, fix an issue where orb beams from the Den Mother could damage players before they had been released. And rejoice, they fix an issue where hellworms could sometimes leave behind invisible walls after disappearing. So yes, a lot of people will be very, very happy about that one. Now also they did some changes here to the pit skills and class mechanics. Let's take a look. It says fix an issue where orb beams from the Den Mother could damage players before they had been released. And also just an issue where you could only interact with the pit obelisk if you had rune shards in your inventory. And they addressed an issue where rune shards could drop in World Tier 3 Nightmare Dungeons and from the Seething Abomination in the Fields of Hatred. Now, skill and class mechanics. They addressed an issue where the surge damage from enhanced charge bolts was exploding too often on enemies that were stacked together as noted previously in game updates. Then it says they addressed an issue for surge damage from enhanced charge bolts was doing less damage than intended when using the piercing static aspect. Okay. And then also they addressed an issue where the Druid Spirit Boon overloads damage was physical damage instead of lightning damage. They fixed an issue where the aspect of the alpha did not properly mark the wolf skill as a werewolf skill in game. And Druid players rejoice because they fixed the issue where boulders orbiting the player from the Dolmen Stone Amulet could stop doing so indefinitely when destroyed by projectile destroying entities such as suppressor fields or monster spawned walls. So I did see some comments out on Reddit about this one. People really celebrating. Check it out right here. It says fix an issue, of course, and they highlight it. The most fun Druid build in the game is back on May 28th. I'm stoked. So yeah, get stoked. Druid fans, I think you're going to be very, very happy with that. Now, they address an issue where rapid fire used with the Scoundrel's Kiss unique ring had a further range than intended, allowing enemies to be damaged or defeated off screen. Then there's some general fixes as well. I'm not going to go over all of these. They addressed an issue where cooldown reduction granted by the following tempering fixes was less for higher tier recipes. And you guys can pause screen or actually go to the patch notes yourself. But we do have developer notes right here. It says fix an issue where some legacy items had their fixes re-rolled during seasonal migration. So they say this, the intention of this change is that all stats on items should either be completely restored to what they were or get the maximum stats if the previous values were unavailable. Now, a lot of you guys were complaining about this one. They also addressed that issue where killing Echo of Lilith did not reward a Resplendent Spark. So get this, anyone who has killed Echo of Lilith in any season will receive a Resplendent Spark this season. In future seasons, you will have to defeat her again to get one. Now, this implementation is to retroactively reward players who have defeated Echo of Lilith this season, but did not receive a Resplendent Spark. For players that have yet to defeat Echo of Lilith this season, defeating her will still grant you a resplendent spark. So the more you know, it's good that they're doing that retroactively as well. So that's nice. And yeah, there were some follow-up questions about the patch out on Twitter, and Adam Fletcher did take the time out to reply. So let's take a look. It says, can we fix the BS one-shot mechanics? And he goes on to say this, I know the team hit a couple, but some are lingering and they are working on getting these out. So yeah, in this update, we're going to be seeing some fixes with that, but apparently there are still some issues to be ironed out. So look out for some more updates about that. I'll keep you guys in the know for sure. Look at all that gold. All right, so let's get into your top comments from my previous video. And yeah, let's dive straight into that because a lot of you guys want loadouts. You guys are begging Blizzard to listen about this. Absolutely 100%. And I'm going to keep highlighting your comments about this until they actually say something on stream. And then, of course, two to five new classes sure would be nice. Can you imagine the expansion rolling out more than just one class? Would be nice to see a bunch of classes. Now, also, loadouts are definitely needed. There are still invisible walls. I'd be happy with any rewards for continuing past 100, but Paragon points would be super. So it seems like you guys want those past 100 as well. Now, we need more classes and more skills for the love of God. Yes. Now, also, the purpose of leveling a character's Iron Wolf reputation fast is to unlock the last tier's reward cache. It contains one Resplendent Spark, so if you do it 4 times, you can craft an uber unique. At it, you also get mini Scion stones, much more than if you spent that time farming high tier pits. So the more you know. So there it is, the latest happenings around Diablo 4. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Look out for more videos in the future. Also, real quick note, you might see some videos roll out from my twin bro Ryan because I will be taking a little bit of a break here soon, and then I will be returning in June. So yes, look out for that. But yeah, I'm kind of curious if you guys can tell if it's my bro Ryan or not. It's going to be interesting. It's happened before, and many of you missed out on that. There was a change because our voices are so similar. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.